Madam Chair,
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call is,
okay, Chair Benson is absent. Okay, Vice Chair Graham,
here,
okay, Commissioner Ramirez,
Here.
Commissioner Bozo,
Here.
and Commissioner Davis.
Here. We have a quorum?
can it? We have one,
Yeah.
do we have one? We got it? We can make it happen, good, okay. Let's have everybody stand for the flag salute, please. Ready, begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, is there a secretary's report?
Yes, the agenda packet was published on February 16th, 2024.
Yeah. And the approval of the minutes,
Greta, I move that we approve the November minutes. Second.
a second.
Sure.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, got the
Okay,
approval?
so motion passes 4-0.
Yep.
You could still, just so you know, if you didn't attend the meeting, you could still approve the minutes. You don't have to be present to it.
You just have to be here.
We'll come over.
All right, so we have an introduction.
Oh, approval of the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
See, I've already forgotten everything. So is there an approval of the agenda? Do we have a motion to that? Yes,
I approve. I second.
we have our approval.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
Mhm.
It's every time, so, yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
I have to do the job.
okay, so motion passes 4-0.
Right,
Keep going on it.
now you're ready.
Yeah. Introduction, Tom? I want to get those done.
Okay, we have a new commissioner. Mr. Sam Bozo. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, come on, stand up and introduce yourself.
Yeah.
I'm sure everything, you know.
Stand up.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Oh,
It makes it more important.
Yes, so Sam Bozo, I've lived in Gilroy since 1976,
But you
born
can
in
take
San
it.
Jose. I went to Cal State Hayward for my recreation degree, and in San Jose State for my master's degree in recreation. And my doctorate was at the University of Laverne in Southern California. I have been active in the Elks organization for a number of years. And this is my third time on the commission. And I enjoyed it, and that's why I wanted to come back.
There we go.
yeah, we're happy to have
Hey,
you.
yeah. Okay. You know, I'm pushing for Pat. That's an impressive like resume, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
And now we have knowledge too, you'll have so much background knowledge.
Well, I was
For
gonna
the
say,
commission.
that was then. In terms of when I went to school and learned
Mm-hmm.
recreation then, and now it's a little bit different. We never had pickleball. Now we have pickleball.
Oh, boy, do
Not yet.
Well, they're working.
That's good, that's very good.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any public comments on the agenda that are not on the agenda?
I have not received any.
Any yellow cards, I think they are?
Okay,
Vice Chair Grant, do you want to turn the reins over to?
Yes, I do. Yeah. It looks like this. And I like
That's yours, I have
a
mine.
blank sheet, yes, go ahead, Deb.
Okay. I'm one of the few that still has a binder.
No, you're not.
You, but none of the other guys have a binder. So, too bad.
this is an invisible binder.
Maybe you guys will get one.
It might be a thing or not.
I don't know, and do they get badges anymore, Adam?
Oh, we are on number 9.
Okay, okay. All right, so we have a presentation by Mayor Murray.
Yes.
Happy everybody. This is so much fun. I've been coming to all the various commissions. Kelly just asked me, why haven't you presented a plan yet? So I just haven't got there yet. One at a time, but my annual presentation, just like your commission does to the council. And I don't have any notes, I'm just holding your agenda. Wanted to say thank you for serving. Love the items that you've got tonight. I mean, look at how wonderful it is to have another body that the public can bring information to. You can all discuss it, public can get their comment, you make a recommendation, anything having to do with our parks. And you've taken on the added responsibility of bike and ped recreation things too. So it's meaningful work. I hope you're enjoying it. I really hope you feel appreciated. This year, the city is hosting its own State of the City for like the first time in, I don't know how many years, 30 or something. The Chamber of Commerce has always been the one hosting the event. And in the last couple of years, the city's been doing one too, but it's been pretty minor. We're calling this one historic. It's gonna be bigger, inviting everybody we can think of. And we're absolutely gonna be recognizing all of our commissioners, and we're gonna be recognizing outgoing commissioners too. Back in the day when I was on the planning commission, we all got certificates signed by all the council members, you know, that, it's something you can put on the wall that reminds you of what you did and who were the council members at the time. And when that stopped, I don't know. I think it's happening with some commissions, maybe not others. I'd like to bring that consistency back. So starting with this year's State of the City, April 29th, you all should have been given, save the dates right here, 7 o'clock. So that we can recognize all of our commissioners, recognize the outgoing ones, at least just from the last year, you know, we can't go back that far. But really meant to start feeling a little more like letting the public know what all happens and how we all connect and what we're all doing for each other to better the city. So with that, I'm gonna probably stay a while because I want to hear what you're gonna be discussing. Yeah, it's interesting, you know, and I love the enthusiasm and the interest it takes for you to want to be on the commission, you know, and to serve. So thank you all. If you have any questions, I'm here, but otherwise I'm just gonna take a seat.
I wish more people would have the enthusiasm and not leave us.
It's not just this commission though. It's you know, it's with all of our commissions, and it's just an attitude out there that is either changed or everybody's just having to work that much harder to just make ends meet.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, doing stuff that's volunteer, which we all know that's what this is that much harder to do. And this is a real serious volunteer. I mean, all of us have volunteered to other things with our kids in schools and recreation stuff, you know, whatever it is. These ones are tougher, you know, because you're dealing with really, you know, some things that really do matter, and you have to be present all the time and talk and listen to the public and all that. So.
And I for one appreciate all the work that council does for interviews, and then we get down again, and then, you know, I can understand you don't want to constantly be going through it all year. I just wish people would just stay or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
It
We'll look
happens.
into a little more, yeah, the commitment that's required. I know. Okay, well, thank you, and April 29th.
Thank
I
you.
got it.
Gotcha.
All right, got it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mayor. Item 10, new business, and it's 10.1, the downtown pop-up park, and a staff report by Bryce Atkins.
Yes, City Commissioners, so on the agenda is downtown Pop Park. There's two items that rest in the commission to consider and provide feedback on. The two items I'd like to take, the first one, separately, if the commission is okay with that, so we do have numbers. The two joint Rotary clubs here to discuss, the,
Oh, okay.
play features. So I'd like to start with that, if you're okay with that. So the pop-up park is, really was developed initially as a temporary park location, pocket size. Pop-up park. Now, this came as recommendation ad hoc, downtown committee, everybody didn't council after that. Again, the intent of the pop-up park is non-traditional park features in areas that doesn't traditionally have such facilities, with downtown areas, parking lot, other heavily hardscape areas. With recommendation from a public park staff, commence development on the park. But at the same time, there's been a transition to more current things, like there's a naming of the park. So they're definitely intending, it seems like it's heading towards a more permanent fixture. So at this point, we're looking at two items on this one. First, the two Rotary clubs have joined together and submitted a joint application to the Amazon Web Services for an inclusive play feature. And I'll turn over to the Rotary Club members, to be more specifics, but it's basically a $10,000 grant for equipment, and identify the downtown pop-up park. That's what.
So, good evening. Thank you so much. I'm Kelly Ramirez and I am the president-elect. I also oversee the community service for the Gilroy Rotary Club, the Noon Club that meets up at Oxlade. And Pat is my counterpart in the Evening Club. He is also the president-elect for the Evening Club.
Okay.
And so what happened was, it came to me, this grant opportunity, Amazon Web Services, kind of at the 11th hour, because it went through several people through Rotary and finally landed on my lap. And basically, and it came so late that I missed the presentation that Amazon gave to interested parties in the community for the grant. So I spent time researching it, and I actually did a 5 a.m. Zoom call with someone from across the world that was giving me information about this grant. And basically you could come up with anything. And what I was thinking of, how it came to mind, I don't know, but I'm looking at something that the entire community can use and where it would be centrally located and it would include everyone. And there had been talk about the pop-up park. And so I thought perhaps doing inclusive playground equipment at that pop-up park. And so it was an opportunity for $10,000 if you were a nonprofit and $6,000 if you are not a nonprofit. Rotary is not a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I thought, well, let's collaborate. So I thought if we worked with both the evening and the morning clubs, maybe we could get $18,000 and that would buy us more equipment. But when I was talking to this woman, she said, nice try. But our Rotary has an endowment, and so we spoke to our endowment and they said that we could use their 501(c), and so we were eligible for the $10,000. So we did get $10,000, and then again, it was all very last minute and got it submitted, and then I'm like, oh, we need to let the city know. Actually, that's not true. We did meet with the city and we were told that they would be generous and if whatever equipment we were able to purchase with the 10,000, they would install it at no cost to us. And so we are very appreciative of the city for doing that. And we were awarded the grant and we had some great ideas, and then we met with the city and realized our great ideas were not so great after all because of the safety of our children. So we were looking at some twirly kind of things that the kids love to get on, where it would allow a wheelchair to come up on it. But for some reason, we need to have like padding there in case somebody falls off. And that was cost prohibitive. So we switched directions, and what we're looking at are about 3 different sensory panels. And so they are still considered inclusive, and they are, touch and feel type of things. So there is no requirement for the padding to be put underneath. And we were given by the city a vendor that they recommended, and we've been working with that vendor, and we are very excited about the opportunity to have this installed at the pop-up park. We feel it's centrally located in the city. Hopefully it will drive more people to the downtown, and we're excited about the fact that it's considered inclusive playground equipment.
And we would urge you strongly to approve it, please.
Where is this location and what do you mean by inclusive?
So inclusive equipment is designed for those that have disabilities.
Okay,
And so they could be physical disabilities, and there are a lot of equipment pieces, and that's really where the direction we were going first of all. But then we found out that the $10,000
it's kind of missing a couple of zeros in order to have that.
I-
So in this case, the zeros do matter. And so, we switched directions and the sensory type of features, their panels, that, touch and feel, sometimes they're musical, that type of thing, they're still considered, because they're sensory, they are still considered inclusive playground equipment. There is, to the north of us, a very large park that is, mostly inclusive. But the inclusivity, even though it's designed for those with certain types of physical disabilities, all children can use it. I have two, able-bodied granddaughters that absolutely love that park. So,
Are you talking about the Morgan Hill Magical?
mhm.
Yeah.
So, obviously this grant is, again, missing like a whole bunch of zeros for something like that. But we just felt that it was a start.
Absolutely, and one of the things the city needs is an inclusive area park. And, we've got the, park on Farrell that's just turf at this point. It's been our talk maybe to have that. Terry and I are part of the, foundation that's been developed for Friends of Gilroy Parks and Recreation Foundation. We are 501c3, we're just kind of still getting off the ground, but we can fundraise. Also the Gilroy Children's Club, which Terry and I also are involved in, is a 501c3, so love to collaborate. Only thing I don't know about is grant writing. I never really had to do that. I had to manage.
Can we have
Well, you know
conversation?
what I
about
found
that?
out?
I didn't think so.
Because I was talking to another Rotarian who
Yeah.
runs, Maddie Scariot, who runs
Yeah.
the Poppy Jasper.
Yeah.
She was also awarded the AWS, an AW. She said she used AI.
Okay.
And I went, are you kidding me? After I sat there. and I
Hey,
could-
Kelly, is there a timing issue at all with this?
There is,
Okay,
and
can you tell me about
so,
that?
it was awarded to us, at the end of January, and we have 6 months to show completion. So just today, so the way the grant works is 70% of the funding comes at the beginning. And then once the project is completed, the remaining, and proof of completion, the remaining 30%. So I just got notification today that the $7,000 has been transferred to our account. And, then we have 6 months, and, within 6 months, we have to, there's a final report that has to be provided.
Okay, as a follow-up to that, there's two things that we're asking the commission to do. One is to, I think approve what you've already chosen. You've already chosen some of stuff, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
It's
and then,
right comments.
okay, and then the design piece, does that go hand in hand with it? Because there's also a request for
It
design.
will, yeah, so if I can kind of go back, I think address a couple of the other questions. So
Yeah.
the location that's being proposed is to run, essentially the panels will go along the sidewalk, immediately to the north of the Gilroy Center for the Arts.
Yeah.
On the west side, there's an outlet,
Okay,
and the thought is that
by the parking lot?
Correct.
Okay.
So they're using the existing concrete sidewalk that goes from the alley to Monterey and allows wheelchair access right up to the panels that have to do
Oh, that's
with
nice.
work in the lawn turf area because of temporary nature.
Can I ask really quick, who is, how do I say this? So I'm a special ed teacher from way back, so right away I'm going ding, 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 ding. Who is advising these pieces of equipment and, why is that the chosen spot? I get it, because there's the parking lot back there, which makes it nice. So I'm just looking, if you've ever been to, oh gosh, I can't think of it now, down in, there's a park that's all for developmental.
That's Morgan Hill.
No, this one's down south.
Oh, well,
Oh,
there's a
yeah.
lot of.
Anyway, so I just want to know who is the consultant that will be advising you on what is,
So I do
Appropriate.
a lot of research, and when you do go to these vendors, they have playground equipment, and then they have a section specific to inclusive playground equipment.
right,
And so my focus when I was researching this was inclusive playground equipment. So, the vendors have already, done the research and stuff, and so I,
What are you
my
looking at?
education, I have a background in education, not,
okay,
special ed,
but
but,
you know kids,
these pieces of equipment are designed for like 4 to 12-year-olds.
okay,
And, they are, very, the word is stuck in my brain, just like it was in yours. We must share this.
Because we're expected to talk.
It's very, tactile.
It absolutely is very intentional in
Yes, it
its
is. extremely
approach to
intentional,
it.
But it's also learning, like, there's one with letters, right? Uppercase, lowercase, and you flip them around and things like that, so.
I think we have it in our packet.
Yeah, there's
That's
always
actually- we-
examples.
we-
Yeah.
we-
So Kelly,
Yeah.
the invoice total was over 10,000, so I assume that the rest is gonna be covered by the.
No, so did you give them the 14,000?
There's an item, yeah, so give them
Yeah.
so there, one of the items on the invoice list is not going to be purchased, from my understanding.
Yes,
So, and then one thing to remember that this is, so in reality, the Rotary clubs are donating the items to the city for
Yeah.
Oh,
installation.
okay.
The challenge that the process began before the donation policy was in
Right.
effect. So we're kind of blending and making the best work of the intent of the policy because it started happening.
Yes.
Okay,
And so it's a donation to the city, and that's why I want to come, just like we would with public art, and any public art is being donated with the Arts and Culture Commission, same here with Parks and Recreation Commission.
and when this happens, I know that the memo says that that the intention is it to be a permanent parking bureau. Is that for sure? Is that, in other words, 3 years later, somebody doesn't take over the property and out comes the equipment?
That is-
and one of the questions I did
Yeah,
have when I approached the city at the very beginning is, what happens if this isn't a temporary? And they said that they would relocate it for us.
So the panels are installed on poles that will be able to be relocated. And so the nature of the permanency or the temporary nature of that is one of the components that we're asking the Parks and Recreation Commission to weigh in on. And so we're asking, so that's the kind of second item, but these can be moved after installation. They're not to the point where since they're being planted in dirt
Okay,
at the outset. That's one of the reasons why that location was chosen, because people want access without having to do hardscape infrastructure installation.
So the pop-up of it is, it could pop up somewhere else and go away.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean,
Pop up,
Potentially,
Is
pop down.
yeah, I mean,
Well,
and that
But it depends on
equipment
the
is
grant
made,
to donation. So,
yes.
we have to kind of work within certain confines,
Yeah.
but it doesn't snap.
Um,
restricted.
My grandson is 5 years old, he's autistic. And, sensory is everything for him because he's nonverbal.
Right,
Totally, running around and all that kind of stuff, and it's very good understanding that it's so important for him to touch and feel and all this kind of stuff. And I was so thrilled when Adam told me this was gonna be on the agenda.
This is huge for you.
This is good, this is, well, it's long overdue and it's huge.
and I appreciate that you appreciate that, because sometimes people, when they don't see like something, for a physical disability, they don't realize that it is actually.
Absolutely, I
So-
mean, he looks like a, everyday normal kid over there, he doesn't talk and all that, but, being that I mentioned earlier about the,
Yeah.
And we're with 501c3 is, I would be happy to bring this shortage down, and we could probably donate.
After we talk about it.
After we.
yeah.
Just to let you know.
That's the thing.
Focus
I
on.
know, Adam, I'm the chair here, so let me say what I gotta say. And that I'd hate to see it shorted if someone could just give you $3,000. Okay, and we probably.
My question is, who's responsible, the city or Rotary, for any kind of, if you will, damage or breakage of this equipment, because it's not cheap. So what is the commitment there in terms of replacement? That's a whole nother pot of money, right?
That's warranty to me directly, first and foremost, and my understanding was that he felt the same as you, that it's widely needed in the city. He wished that we could have had a bigger project similar to the one in Morgan Hill, but we only had this little bit of money, and we don't have the bandwidth to take on this major fundraiser to build a big project like that, but he said he would. We're donating it, and then it would be regular maintenance and stuff.
Basic maintenance would be, or if there's vandalism to the point where destruction, then we would approach our risk management pool for funds to replace.
Okay,
Great.
okay, good. Okay.
donated to the city, so.
Right.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, that's great to know.
Okay,
So in two items, if there's any comments from the commission, if there's any anything that you're aware of, any concerns with the installation aside from what's already been raised?
Now on the, I know that the stuff that goes on the bottom, that spongy stuff, we have it all over several parks. Is that too cost prohibitive to add in areas where these are going to be placed? I understand why you put it, recommending it at the sidewalks so someone could come right to it, but we can't get to the back side.
Yeah.
So I was wondering about that, because I know when we have issues in the parks where that stuff does rip, and but the city every once in a while will go and fix a bunch of it. We have stuff that will actually do it, so I was just wondering about that.
So is it, in other words, is it wheelchair accessible?
Well,
For
you know,
like a-
here's what, cause I went over and looked at the
Yeah.
park. And I would say that, it's not lawn like at Las Animas, where it's just, lush lawn,
Right.
where it would be a little bit more prohibitive for a wheelchair.
Yeah.
This is,
So,
how would you describe it? More, it's,
Well, you're up close if you're on the cement.
correct. So-
right,
so-
but even to
That's
go
harsh.
around, it's not like you're, first of all, you're not gonna be going a distance, because the panels themselves are not,
Right.
so big, and so you would just have to kind of come on. But I feel very strongly that, it would still be accessible with someone pushing a wheelchair.
Okay.
With the type of grass that, I'm not a person, I don't understand grass, but it just appears to me that it would be still more accessible than.
Yeah, and maybe in the future we could do something else to do that.
So the fall protection is both cost prohibitive, but also it's a major infrastructure installation, which ties to the second.
Okay, so it's the installation part of it.
Such part is.
Okay. Yeah, because I know we have it in a lot of parks.
It's a nice little spot, and I think that it's nice, it works both ways for our city. So we've got accessibility on both sides of town, right there.
Well, and
like
I think
that,
it also
culture.
brings more people to downtown.
I hope so.
When we have the downtown issue, Thursday night.
Can we make a movement?
I have no problem making a move. Is there anything else that you wanted to add as staff?
No, that's everything.
Okay, so when we make a recommendation, do you want both sections? Like you said, it was like a two-part thing?
Yeah, so the second part, yeah, ideally it could be combined in one action. If you want to take two, you could take two.
Mhm.
The-
Why don't we do that? Because they're both related, correct?
Correct.
So then I think we should do it that way, and that way it goes to council in one package.
So the second item is asking the commission to provide recommendation to the council regarding design, securing a design consultant on a design for downtown pop-up park. As our city administrator mentioned at a previous council meeting, we are not designers, we attempted to do a temporary nature pop-up park. But given that it seems to be heading towards a more permanent facility, or permanent park, it really does need at that point an actual design by, a park architect. And so we're asking for the commission to look at that, to provide a recommendation to the board, and then any insights the commission which provide the council part of that recommendation.
Okay.
Again, it's the key, item, that doesn't change is that it is the name, Donald Ellis Peter Downtown Park. And so that cannot be changed as part of the recommendation,
Mhm.
not that anybody's suggesting to, but I want to make sure that.
Elvis.
Oh, you haven't lived here, your life like we have.
No.
He was a local young man, and he did a stage.
Elvis.
Yes, he presented himself and he appeared at events, locally and in Reno and all over. So, and he recently passed about 3 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and, just his birthday was just, not too long ago.
Okay.
Yes, so there's going to have the design be more comprehensive, like obviously music elements that we procured for it, we do have 2 musical instruments that have been installed. Yet the thought behind that was since we're heading towards this more permanent design to hold off on installation of those until design is
good idea.
incorporated in practice. So that's what we commission to ask as well, so that recommendation to council to go into computer design.
Bryce, do you have any idea what that might cost, just out of curiosity?
Not this time, no. We have to, we'd have to look at doing an informal quote or price depending on how much we think it might benefit. This way I'll have that for you.
And this is within the boundary of that being approved at the administration level. Doesn't have to go off. of-
Oh, that's a good way to phrase it. So, yeah,
For those of you who don't know, there's a certain level financially that the city administrator can approve staff without going out to bid.
and my question would be the crossover of Rotary and city, what happens if something gets damaged? There's no crossover, who's responsible for maintaining it? What about the equipment?
I just said.
So city, okay, sorry, I was already jumping ahead and not listening to you, so normal. Okay, thanks,
It's okay.
okay,
It's okay. As far as who wants to come forward with a motion, and we want to make sure it's worded properly to, satisfy the city. So it looks like, commission, we provide any recommendations to the staff regarding the potential inclusive short wall / race entry structure donation from the Rotary clubs. And recommendation to the city council regarding the procurement of the design services to develop a park design for the Donald Elvis Freire downtown Highland Park. So those are the two, recommendations.
Those are two requests they have.
Okay, so if we did, motion for these,
So move.
okay, thank you, Sam. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, thank you, Luis. And anybody have any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any negatives? No, unanimous.
Thank you, thank you.
so much.
It's a long time coming, I'm
you.
really excited for
Thank you
this,
for
we have
doing
a
all the
large
work up front.
population
Appreciate
of
it.
children that need this, so that's really great.
So Adam, do you have enough to write the motion up and send it to council? Perfect, thank you very much. And ladies, thank you very much, and let's collaborate.
Oh, absolutely, it was the first time I've heard that you.
The foundation,
Parks and Recs.
Yeah.
In my background.
Yeah.
That
Oh, very cool.
I was on the commission many years ago.
I remember, plus council,
Yeah.
but thank you, I'd love to collaborate.
I'm sure.
Thank you very much. This is exciting. Yes, very exciting. Okay. So item next one is. Terry, now I have to go back. Okay, so, yes. Okay, 11.1, this is under old business. And this is pickleball site recommendation project kickoff. And staff report by Bryce Atkins.
Yes, commissioners, as you recall, back in September meeting and 2023, staff came for the PRC, and made comments about 3 different pickleball locations. As you recall, we came back towards the end of the calendar year, advisory committee, we have a much more comprehensive recommendation from the PRC, and include looking at other potential sites as well, as actually ran down that priority. So, as we mentioned at that meeting, we come back at the beginning of the year, this is that item, we introduced essentially a kickoff of the project. The staff is proposing to use a multi-criteria decision analysis model. That's a fancy way to say that you'll be making your own weighted scoring criteria for yourselves, you don't have to negotiate with other commissioners. And the tool will then essentially average out the scores at the end, so that way it reduces the ranking without, based on your individual weighted scores, I should say. As part of that, included is a project schedule. As you notice, it's a very lengthy schedule, and the thought here is to make sure that we have too much of a workload for the commission at any one given time. So starting in March, you'll be receiving a presentation regarding characteristics of an ideal pickleball court from a pickleball perspective. We did reach out to the U.S. and California Pickleball Associations. It's needed some professional assistance there. They have not responded to our request yet.
That's a credit.
So we'll see if we get a response. If not, by the time we start this project, we'll see if there's some local sources or other clubs that can come and provide that guidance and provide their input. In April, the commission will develop their individual weight scoring structure in preparation for site evaluations. We'll go and coach you on that system and how we work and running through a test model so you can see how it will actually work out In May, after the year, so compile list of all possible locations, of existing city facilities where pickleball court, both courts may be viable in the future. And this list will basically form a universe of areas of consideration for this practice. But you know, it's Christian, we would dark into a line, if I remember correctly. So from June to August, the PRC Commission is basically conduct site visits to complete individual form. Identify the sites and score them as your discretion. In August, the PRC Commission will report out the results of the August meeting of staff documents scored with the multi-criteria model. And in September, basically score staff prepare present at the meeting of the draft reports for consideration from PRC to review and then start their deliberation questions. Continued to October, complete the deliberations and approve final comments and specifics to report. And then in November, we can report to the commission in order to have a final recommendation to city council. So
Wow.
it's a lot, but it's spaced out, and it sounds a lot, hitting you all at once, but as you go through it, it shouldn't be too much. The biggest individual consumption of your time will be from June to August, of actually visiting the sites, identifying how you want to write.
We also usually we're scheduled for running dark in October, August.
No, we have others going on.
July, December,
No, we only, what months do we do go dark?
July.
July,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, August we're not,
okay, that's it. That's what I know.
yeah.
And you will help us with this MCDA model?
Yes.
Perfect, because that's where, to me, most of the work's gonna be, in getting that done. And yeah, I think it's great. And as far as criteria, what we're gonna be looking at, are we gonna be looking at, number one, available parks, a certain acreage or square footage that we need, and how many courts are we looking to do in this first start, or maybe a first park?
Well, for this exercise, really identifying locations.
Okay,
Yeah, so you might have a location that you decide you want to rank as number one, that they don't be able to fit one court. But you may have another site
Oh.
that's three. And the key element of this tool is that you, as an individual commissioner, might rank the number of courts possible as 30% of your score. Somebody else may say, well, it's only 10% of my score. Somebody else may say it's 80%, but we want a lot of courts.
yeah.
And so it allows each of you to score based on your own rubric and then average out the score.
Can I ask
And
you a
then
question?
there'll be parking and bathrooms and.
You're supposed to ride your bike there.
Yeah, so that would be in your evaluations, right? So we're gonna list out all the different criteria. There's also the east and west facing, with north and south facing. Would be able to, form a service if the park, let's say, you want to put it in the middle of Christmas Hill Park, or other things are impacted by the court location. There's a lot of different
A lot of
different
factors to
criteria,
consider.
and some things you might evaluate as being worthwhile to score against, others might not. That's kind of the dream of the tool, is you to decide what is a priority to use an individual and score
Right.
against that, and then
Right.
it'll weigh out against everybody else's scores on what they value. And come out to ideally a list without the certain items.
Sure.
So I have a couple of questions. So currently, about how many courts are used during the week for pickleballers? How many people attend? Like I know over on, what is it, Sunrise, there's a pickleball there. Is there pickleball at Los Animas? Are they taking over?
No.
They're not doing
It's
anything.
already at
About,
Sunrise.
we don't have a number of pickleball players yet who would have say in it or want to have say in it, or,
There are 8 courts in Wheeler.
So there's.
oh, the
there's
indoor, yeah,
three-
that's
Yeah,
last
so there's
week.
3 at Wheeler and there's 4 at Sunrise. And those are the only publicly accessible. pickleball.
Thank you. Okay, all right. So it's gonna behoove some of us to kind of learn how to play pickleball, maybe, so we can have some real time experience and what needs to happen.
Over cornhole
I just want to say though, and this has been, I've just been singing this song forever. Listening to pickleball played on TV at one point, and the thong, the thong, the thong, and you get it with tennis, is we're gonna have to look at locations that are not near people's backyards or their homes, and that really is gonna, makes our choices, I think, more difficult.
Well, plus I go to Morgan Hill every once in a while because I need physical therapy for my shoulder, so I take my dog the dog park, which is right next to the pickleball. It's not just the tatong. People scream when they play. I mean, they're all doing the, you know,
Oh, the
whole
grunting and
tennis
stuff?
thing. Oh, you know, they do, they take it real seriously,
Remember, this
and
is
it's
just,
loud.
this is just the
I know.
kickoff.
I know,
It's just,
yeah.
it's just a high overview, so
Yeah, we're
we'll
looking-
get into the weeds, we will get into the weeds, and these are concerns that are relevant and need to be considered when you're doing your scoring.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the things we've talked about before, council decided to, you know, make this a somewhat priority is, oh, there's all this land at Christmas Hill Park on the ranch side. Well, a lot of the folks there don't realize we have riparian habitat that we can't even go into. So that what you think might be available at Christmas Hill is out of there. So
That's a
other,
good point.
yeah, so that's a big deal. I know the pickleball community wants bathrooms. That may not happen. And that may become in my rubric, like you said. Yeah.
And I'm looking at it a completely different point. I think that, you know, when you walk out Christmas Hill and there's the red barn back there, it's a beautiful barn. It's all been, you know, updated and there's no people around. So I'm thinking I would like to see courts back there and to, so that there's an eye on our buildings and there's an eye on our equipment and whatnot. And so it's not getting vandalized because it's a beautiful spot. So we're gonna really have to brainstorm some of the factors that need to be considered to make it an optimum.
Oh, yeah, and I know Red
Area.
Run would like some bathrooms and they'd like some child play area and like a barbecue.
On
area.
exposure too.
Absolutely for all that. And so,
I'm excited that pickleball is
All
on the
in the-
agenda. Thank you.
So they're all
Thank
open
you.
people, so.
yeah,
Great,
Might be a little long, so.
Sounds good.
Just-
oh, yeah.
Great, I wanna see this
All
happen.
right.
So we'll go into that.
Thank
And
you.
the Red Barn people want to come back and give us like a half an hour presentation. So I've already talked to Adam, but we're gonna be doing that in the future. And having a site visit if some people haven't had it already. Thank you. Okay, so,
Is there anything else?
Yeah, so at this point, this would be time for any questions, or if there's anything that you want to change in the schedule.
no, I think
mean-
it's highly doable.
Wait.
I'm sorry, yes, I'm sorry, comment.
What's the, and now I'm gonna go back into my past, okay? We always used to have, whether it was the city of San Jose or here or other places, we had contracts with the school district. Do we have contracts with the school district now?
Yes,
A contract that covers all the schools?
well, it's called a joint use.
A joint use?
Yes,
Okay.
and we do, and we have ones that are very specific toward buildings, but then we also have extended usage where we can collaborate.
Okay.
And work together, they can use our space, we can use their space, as long
Right.
as it's not being used by the.
By the school?
Yeah.
Okay, so that could be in our study, huh?
Well, I like them, I think what you're leading to is we have a brand new middle school that has,
Yes.
how many tennis
8
courts?
courts.
So that would lend itself nicely to adding a lot of pickleball
Yeah.
courts. So that's a consideration.
But
Yeah.
however, these schools now are barricaded and you're not going in their barricades.
Well, they could open them, but it's something that's studied, and I think that's something we need to discuss.
Yeah,
We can discuss, I would just caution as part of this process, that this is really identifying city facilities, just because the
Yes,
school district may not want to invest in pickleball
Sure.
court there. So it's identifying options that are on city property that we have
it's,
control
Yeah.
over. So
that makes
So it could be
total
something you
sense.
can add
so we
to
can
the report.
include that in consideration as maybe an additional factor that you can add to it, but I would hesitate to make it
Just that,
a lot. We won't be identifying school site, because that's not our purview.
right.
Yeah,
But-
okay, thank you.
I mean,
gosh.
for once we get our foot in the door and finally get some pickleball courts that are a permanent area, then that's something that maybe the school district will want to do. Maybe they'll make it one part of the curriculum, who knows, in physical education. So, yeah, that's still good, very good to remind us of that.
Do any of you play pickleball? I'm just curious. Does anybody here play pickleball yet?
I did,
You did?
Yeah, I played.
You play? You play? Okay, we might have to get some pickleball.
Okay.
okay.
Thank you.
So, as far as what you want for a recommendation from us,
So there's no action.
No, April.
okay, no action?
Nothing.
Okay, so it's, we actually should, is this on the work plan already?
No, that is the next topic.
then we will need to put it on the work plan. I'm gonna stop it. So.
Good seeing you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Blankley.
Okay. Thank you, Bryce. This was a very good report. I'm very pleased.
You never
Have to
got a
think
chance
about
to meet Heather.
Yes, I was gonna introduce her during the.
Okay, okay, gotcha.
Comments,
Okay,
I'm happy to
All right,
introduce.
okay, great.
Yes, no, I did hear. Yes. Thank you.
This is a big
Alright.
packet, by the way,
It's mostly
with lots of
playground
pictures.
stuff.
Yes.
Usually, no, I'm not profit. I liked it, but I didn't print it at home.
But I
I
didn't-
only did
I
the
know, I'm
first
glad I
10
didn't have to
pages
do
and then I
that.
left the rest for here till I got it.
No, I got yours today in the mail.
So did I.
Oh, because yesterday was.
Yes, yeah, so, but it was good.
Yeah.
But I couldn't figure out what these were. I'm thinking archery, okay.
Oh, it's not in the mail.
Today we got it in the mail.
I went straight from my little surgical thing here.
But do you have it, don't you have it online, for us?
Yeah, he sends it in
Yeah,
email.
so we can always do that if we don't have it at the last minute.
Well, I
or whatever.
always print it early, but it was so much color and so much paper. I said, no, I'm only doing the first part because
Thank you for this. That's
Yeah.
nice. This was a big one. Just a really big one.
Okay, 11.2.
Alright. 7.2, here we go. Love all this censored.
No,
Alright, 11.2.
You're good, you're good.
it's back at the back. Good way to go with that.
Are you freaking out?
What page you got?
Oh, here.
We gotta go past this.
This is- this is-
I gotta go- we gotta go back here.
Yeah, let's do it.
11.2.
Oh, so nothing.
Page two.
Yep, 2B. 11.2. Discuss and adopt FY fiscal year 24 and 25 work plan. Staff report is Adam.
Yes. Okay, Commission, so, this was actually discussed at your last meeting and it was, tabled to be continued into this meeting. So this is your opportunity to adopt a work plan that is gonna run not just through this calendar year, but go all the way to the end of the fiscal year, which would be June 30th, 2025. So we're talking about
Geez.
17 months here. Many of the items that you've had on your previous work plan, more than likely will be carrying over to, your new work plan. I've attached your 2023 work plan, which is the spreadsheet. You're very familiar with this. This is something that we go over every year. This is the work plan that, is the focus of every one of your meetings. When you're doing the presentation to city council, letting them know what you've accomplished over the past year, this is the reference. It's your tool. It's the work plan. So of everything that you're gonna be working on this year, this is what's gonna guide this commission. As you can see in the status, you've completed almost all of the items, and the ones that didn't get completed, were due to other factors, nothing to do with the commission itself, so. In any event, if you turn to the analysis page of your staff report, these are just things to consider when you are discussing potential items that are going into this work plan. For example, it should align with the city council priorities, at least one of these if possible. The work plan should be clear and concise. It should have some sort of measurable goal. I'm gonna help you here.
Yeah, it's great.
Hey, I think it should be color coded of some sort or tabs. Thank you. To know me is to know me.
That's right.
So this is last year's work plan.
Okay, okay, thank you.
He doesn't make it easy, Sam, okay? Tries to trick us all the time.
Well, I wish I could tell you which page number to go to, but that,
Yeah.
that would be asking. Okay, anyways, so I'm going over kind of the criteria. These are things that you should take into consideration when you're coming up with your work plan. So as I mentioned, it should be it should somehow at least align with one of the city council's 5 priorities. As you can see here, they're listed. The item should be some concise, it should be clear, and there should be some sort of measurable goal, some sort of end result. The other thing, we haven't really talked about this, I think over the past year, but it's on every one of your city council's agenda, or sorry, your commission agenda, and that's the mission statements. And this is something that every one of you should be familiar with. This was adopted back in 2018, and I think it's still just as relevant then as it is now. And it tries to pretty much cover everything that this commission it would fall under, you know, whether it's parks, whether it's recreation, bringing people together, and so forth. So that is essentially your criteria. I also listed at the bottom are the items that have already been discussed. These are items that some of them you'll recognize from being on the work plan from the previous year, and other are some new items that you can understand. Does this commission have the capability of selecting all of these items? I don't know if that is realistic. The commission has done a really good job of not taking on too much, but taking on enough to show a sense, have had a sense of accomplishment. So we can quickly go through these. Hosting Arbor Day, this is something that the commission does every year. It's part of the Tree City USA criteria. Hosting Arbor Day, which you did back in December at Peckerpass Park. Every year, the commission, with the help of city staff, hosts the event at a different city park. And it's been a great event. We invite city council members and members of the county. Training opportunities for commission. So last year, former chair Ramirez, Commissioner Ramirez, he had participated as well as city staff at the annual Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition Summit. Commissioners or Vice Chair Graham and Chair Benson had participated in the CPRS conferences in the past. So, and then there are some other organizations that offer either free or relatively inexpensive webinars and other events that you can attend. So those are great just to learn about what are the latest trends, what are other cities, counties, agencies doing with regards to parks and or recreation. Monitoring city parks, this has been a staple with the commission. Each of you have been assigned a few parks. At each meeting, you report back on them. What are you seeing? What are the good? What are the bad? What are things that you know, staff can assist in improving upon, and things like that. Participating in citywide events. This past December, the commission helped at Breakfast with Santa, which was great. Graduated kitchen for over 200 people. We also participated in other citywide events like Downtown Live, tabling, letting people know about parks and recreation. The VTA Measure B program. So this is something that the commission has absorbed from the Bike Ped Commission when that commission was dissolved. Hosting Bike to Wherever Day. That's something the commission has done for the last 2 years. And Measure B is the Measure B funds that was adopted by the county voters back in 2016. And a portion of it, which is dedicated to encouragement and education funds, everything about whether it's biking or walking, anything to do with pedestrians or bicycle usage, in promoting it, not for capital improvements. These funds are eligible for. Bryce Atkins recently had a report, or it's going to be approved.
Yeah, so to just give you an idea, since you're kind of taking on the education encouragement, we're taking to council on the 26th, an item on the program of projects back starting back in 2019. There's been a goal to have a GIS mapping and like an encouragement education website developed. So we're actually taking the council a large contract to have us do that. So we'll use a lot of the Measure B funds for EE for the next several fiscal years.
Whoa.
So it's gonna be a big project, which is nice, and then we'll be updated as we kind of go through that process.
So the GIS is we can, online, you can see
Yeah.
all the bike paths and bike pumps and all the stuff you can stop.
Like pumps, water fountains, public
Nice.
art that's along the way, it's gonna be pretty intensive. The page is also gonna advertise for any like bike ped activities in the area. It's also, the contract also has them linking with your GPS navigation, so Google Maps, Apple Maps, all those in order to, if you choose walking or biking, it'll include routes that, you know, that may not be on the system at this point in time, including our trails network.
Do we have enough trails to warrant that? Kind of money? I
We
mean-
have, so it'll incorporate the existing bike lanes and bike paths that are on the street. So we have
Okay.
one.
Oh, on the
But I'll
streets.
add these other features that the maps these other map software may not have currently. It allows also to pre-plan and program the bike networks that haven't been built out just yet. So that it'll be ready to layer, and then once this is actually constructed, we just update the data and then we use it.
Can I ask one quick question, Adam? And I think it was brought up by Councilman Hilton a long time ago. And they were talking about some trails up behind Gilroy up there.
Gardens.
Story Garden?
Yeah. Are those legit trails? Does anybody know? And I remember they were talking about they were riding up there. And so my point being, like, I like to ride on the levee, but there's a lot of bike.
Let's focus on the work.
Okay, but I just wanted, I'm putting it out there.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll definitely check it back.
Yes.
So we don't have.
There's also another event where it would fall under the Measure B category. It's a bike safety event that I've been in communication with the public health department and actually the school district. They have noticed that there's a lot more bike riders, which is great, but there also are a lot more close calls, like no actual accidents, with students who are riding to school and parents who are riding their kids. Anyway, so they want to hold a bike safety event at South Valley Middle School, and they would like the city to be
I think
part of it. Yes.
last year they had a counting event. And I was participating in
Yes.
that, where you had to get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I had to go out by the school. I had the one that was going to the old high school, junior high, and so yeah, and I was counting people who were walking, people who were riding, people who were doing skateboards, people who were doing scooters and all that. And then if they come back again, I had to count them going that way. So that was very interesting, and I know they used all that information, so, yeah, that was an opportunity to see,
Yeah.
and they had it all over the city, and, people were certain areas where we were counting the number, so.
Anyway, so let's keep going here. So studying opportunities for parks and recreation services to a dedicated funding source. So again, this was something that was mentioned at the last meeting by Commissioner Ramirez. Pickleball analysis. I had told you that you're going to be studying pickleball over the next year. And so it would make a lot of sense to add it to your work plan since you're already going to be doing the work.
Absolutely.
Study of shade structures needed for city park and playgrounds. So how shade structures does the city need, and which parks are the most vulnerable, and what type of shade structures, what size are they, and so forth. So there's an opportunity there to do some
At
research.
least identifying parks that need it will help the foundation in the future.
Exactly. Exploring future development of Christmas Hill Park Ranch site. So this had come up after the Red Mill just a presentation was made, and how that there's a lot of opportunities there to perhaps build upon what's already there. Continuing the discussion at the city's dog park. And then the last one I wanted to make mention of is I'm also the staff liaison for the library commission. And at their most recent meeting, the Santa Clara County Library District had mentioned that there is funding for a story walk. And I don't know if anyone is familiar with a story walk, but basically it's a series of markers that tell a children's story. And so each marker, let's say the storybook is 10 pages, and each marker represents a page. And what it's supposed to do is encourage families to go to the park, to exercise, and then also to read.
Very cool.
And the library would like to, they have funding available, they would like to work with the city and have this installed in either a park or along a trail or something of that nature. So that is something else that you may want to look into. And then the funding is already available, from the library.
Those are fun projects when you have money, you know?
Yes. Were there any other ideas that you wanted to add before you start diving into the discussion?
We have, as a group, last year during the capital cycle, we were pushing hard for the council to fund a park, city park site plan. We haven't done it for over 15 years. The master plan, that's what I'm talking about, master. And we were pushing, and council didn't really make it a priority for the current cycle. But we are still wanting that because it's critical for the city. Those of us who were pushing for it, and a lot of the folks weren't here yet. And I know there's not a cycle right now, but it's something we are passionate about. And we want to encourage the city to make it a priority because it also impacts impact fees. Because impact fees cannot be raised for park plans until you do master plan.
So, that's something that's kind of on the list. I mean, I completely agree with Chair
It's not
Benson.
really on the list, but we
Yeah.
need to tell you, we are still passionate.
After the first year of being on this thing, I'm frustrated because we don't have a whole lot of say in what goes on in parks. Like we have zero say, we're just recommending, and we have zero money to do anything with. And I still remember the days when I moved into this town a long time ago, when we had 30 people in our park program, where we could fund people who didn't have money to attend a basketball court that cost $195. You know, and we can't do it anymore because we just don't have any money. And it becomes a political issue, public safety versus recreation. Are we, it's a philosophy. Does a recreation department provide for the public benefit, which means it's a cost per participation, it's a public benefit.
Right.
And to have that happen, we have to have money. And the only way you do that is to update master plans that are 22 years old, so you can get impact fees. But I don't think the political will is there from city council members. I've already had discussions with 2 or 3. I've had meetings with park directors at other cities. I've had meetings with former city administrators and the city administrator. And there is potential, but it's gonna take a concerted effort. And for me, that's my #1 goal in my 3 years that I have left here, is to find a dedicated source of funding for Parks and Rec. For the kids.
Had the discussion when the mayor was here.
Well, yeah, but she won't be able to comment. We can't have this discussion back and forth. This is, so what we're trying to do here is to come up with a work plan. And my biggest thing is and I'm willing to put in a lot of the effort, is to figure out a way to get a permanent source of funding. And there are ways. The current city administrator, if the fire station goes up for a vote and they need to fund the fire station, they're gonna need to get some money for that. It's gonna probably be maybe a sales tax measure. That sales tax measure may be more, there may be more money in that they need, that there could be some to come to public parks. Or we get the master plan after that, how we find the money and go after impact fees. But somehow, I think we have to at least figure out a way to do that and make a concerted effort to go after and recommend to the city council how important this is. And so that for me, it's first and foremost for me and permanent funding source meeting, update the master plan is 22 years old. Our parks, and it goes to our mission statement. Now, the mission is to maintain, develop and sustain the parks. Well, you guys do a great job of maintaining our parks, cutting the grass and trees, but it's starting to fall apart. Those buildings, Los Animas, all those bathrooms, they're in terrible shape. Crystal Park, you're starting to see, eroding and retaining walls. It's time to kind of raise some money to make parks more a quality of life issue and raise it up a little bit.
Unfortunately, you can't do maintenance with impact fees. It has to be,
I understand that,
they've got to do it from general fund.
but we need,
But yes, I totally agree, and this is why I brought it up, that we're passionate about it. Bryce, I know you have the ear of those in higher up, and Jimmy, I know councils, one of their big focuses now is the public facilities master plan. You're doing a new, center here and all that. that's great, but this building is in far better shape than some of our park buildings, and so.
Patty. Go ahead, finish. Go ahead.
No, this is kind of, I'm glad Bryce is here, I kind of wish he was here a lot, but you know, it's a night meeting, but anyway, just know that we're very passionate. about this. It's gonna be my last year because I'm turned out, it's my 8th year. But I'm hoping to do whatever I can to make it happen.
Me first.
Thank you. Yeah, me second.
So, Adam, help me understand this. If we do this monitoring of city parks, does that have to be a part of our plan then? I mean, in other words, if we work towards 5 things, I mean, we do the city park monitoring.
Yes, and
Does it have to be a part of that then?
no, it doesn't,
Okay.
but since you already do it, you might as well get credit for it.
Well, and we can do that on our annual report to the council,
Yes.
right? So what about what Luis is saying? Is about studying the potential of income.
Yes,
To me, I would like to put more effort into that, and I know I'm gonna be doing the city parks. I'll know that.
yes.
So,
So, and just because you do, and I just for your own
Gotcha.
reference, just so because you're doing one, doesn't mean that another has to come off, because they're really not of equal value. I
Okay.
mean, as you know, visiting parks doesn't take as much of a concerted
Right.
effort as talking about something as complicated as this. You know, in terms of how do you go about this? And I just want to, if you want to take on this issue, you have to define how you're going to take it on. And I think the way you handled the dog parks may be a good template, which was you came up, you essentially had that major discussion over multiple meetings, and you were able to bring it down into a 2-page document. And you ironed it out exactly, very clear, you know, with, this is the current situation is, this is what we hope to see in the future. You had bullet points, you were very specific, and you had someone that you were gonna give it to, which is the new Public Works Director. So this could be along the same lines, you know, will it be longer than 2 pages? Perhaps, but keep something in mind is that you, at the end of the day, you're an advisory body. You are just advisory, you're not consultants, you're not tasked with doing an executive summary. But you could have the ability to at least get the wheels in motion.
So we're going to be having this retreat, and that takes us away from this real formal.
Not necessarily, remember.
Let me
that
just
was
finish,
on
let me just finish.
contingent If you
But-
don't adopt it.
But my point is, I think it gives a little bit more freedom for us to think more outside the box, like you've mentioned something, and we all have things, and we all, of course, realize legalese, there's all kinds of, restrictions and things that we can't say, and we always blow past those. But I'm just reminding, we have a retreat, and I feel like there's like some energy here, and it's good, and it's forceful energy, and we need to take that into the retreat and I feel like as a group, we need to talk about what each of us really sees us doing and why we decided to become Parks and Rec commissioners, and why, or if we want to continue. And then listening to the good news that you brought us, and pickleball, wow, that's all a thing, we talked about it, it was poo-pooed for a long time, so we've seen a little bit of movement. But I like to say, I'd like to take some of this into the retreat with us. I think we can talk more freely.
What?
That's all I have to say.
Are we really having a retreat? I
I mean,
thought we-
I think we were having a retreat.
Spill over.
So let me just, let's start up here.
Oh, okay.
So if you recall, I believe it was at the previous meeting.
November.
Yeah, was it November?
Yeah.
Okay. No,
No,
no.
it was
January.
January.
Yeah. So at the previous meeting, the commission agreed that, they would continue the discussion today. And if they couldn't adopt the work plan, then, you had the option to meet this Saturday.
That's right.
For a retreat,
For a couple more hours.
for a
Yes.
couple more hours. Now, if you can adopt it tonight, that means that you have the ideas on paper, and then at the next meeting, you can really dive in a little deeper in terms of trying, well, what is it exactly that we want to achieve in this particular work plan?
So Chair, can I make a suggestion? why don't we just go around the table and just say, what is something that's on this list or on this that's really important to you
Yeah.
this year? And then maybe we can just say, okay, well, that's on mine, and the stuff that we need, that I think the no-brainer stuff, the host Arbor Day, the BTA thing.
Right.
I think that's just gonna be on there anyway.
That's
But
fine.
let's just go through there and say, this is what's really important for me. And then we can say, yeah, we're all in agreement, and then that's our work.
Fine, tune it next month.
Something, with regards to the funding, because establishing a new fee is a demanding process that takes time. You may want to, and it could be beneficial for infrastructure improvements within the parks. But also another consideration to support that would be to research the various grant programs. There is safe routes to parks, there is ATP grants. There are various programs that could support the objectives that you're trying to achieve.
Mhm.
So you're saying we become the lookers for the money and
No,
then,
not necessarily.
And
Yes.
staff would
Staff.
definitely support you in applying for the grants.
So we have a contract grant writer, we apply for ATP grants, we apply for most park grants. We already do that, so, I mean, we can include that, we can, if there's possible updates going forward, but I don't want that to detract, because that's business as usual for us. And so, I mean, if there's something that you become aware of during your training and consultations, then that's fine. But so the grant writer and the grant writing program is good to all departments, all programs, we have regular meetings on it. We bring all of the grants they're aware of to us to apply for. So just want to make sure that we're aware that that's something that's gonna happen regardless with the grant writing and that we're doing that.
I mean, that's really great, because at the time that I retired from the city, it was now been 15 years. And that's sort of one of my jobs was in the community development department, was monitoring impact fees, projecting and all that. I never had time to write a grant. So I'm glad the city did that, because that's critical. I mean, we came up with like $3 million to put into San Ysidro Park, right? Or something like that to make some improvements out there. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
So, and with these pickleball courts, I don't know if we can get a grant for that stuff, but when the head guy came down from San Jose or something, he was talking about there's money
So
available.
Chuck, can we go back to that, where we just go around the table and everybody lists their one thing that's important to them?
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
I just would like to clarify, I understand your point, Bryce, but we have a trail master plan that's quite old. We should be having a bike and ped master plan. We
What?
cannot apply for ATP because of the type of the city. Like it wouldn't qualify. We are going to apply for projects on corridors. The various grant programs have their own specific requirements. And we will be supplementing the on-call consultant, by the way, who helps with grants, to have someone who is transportation specific, just to increase our chances in receiving those awards.
Now, something, and congratulations, by the way, we're gonna introduce you, but, welcome aboard. I'm very happy to see you here, to see a permanent director. With some of the history that even I don't know all of it, is, when we had impact fees that were specifically for parks. Okay, and then somewhere along the line of when I retired, they took that fund and, spread it out, made it public for fire could get in it, public, police could get in it, we're in it. So we're sharing one fund that they all used to have their own funds, okay? Cause I used to do them all. And so also a lot of the money went away from parks that we used to have for impact fees, Luis, when we bought Gilroy Gardens. And the repayment back has been not great. And that's something also the city has to look at, the repayment of those funds.
so I want to start the going around.
Okay.
So what you said and what you said, I like what you said also about the grants and the money for, because I'm astonished that we have nothing, almost nothing for Parks and Recreation. I mean, if we're finding it, it's a different way. We farm it out to somebody else. That's not the way recreation was. You go back to the storybooks way back when, recreation was for people and to encourage them to participate. And the only way we can do that is if we have money. So I would like to study that, seriously, and use the resources that we have in terms of, is it through a grant? Is it through funding? Something like that. So I support what's your name? Lou.
So I'm with Sam, and I think we should do all the things that he did last year, that
Yeah.
ETA, all that stuff, but
Yeah, that,
I would definitely like to, I don't know how we word that,
yeah,
finding sources of funding for, you know, the stuff that fits our mission statement to develop. Wouldn't it be fun to develop the 18 acres by the Van site and connect with the Red Barn? That'd be awesome if we had money for that, right? That would be awesome. And that means that's quality of life, that's development, that's the stuff we should be doing and having recreational program. That's whatever that means, that's what I mean.
I agree with you. I think mine's, because I can just go pie in the sky big time. I need to know, because you're so knowledgeable about this, you are also knowledgeable about the whole funding issues and where the money, how the money can or cannot be spent. So I would like to see this, what do we start with and what are our priorities? And then we start filling in with what are the costs? Because that's what's really going to stop us from doing anything. On the other hand, there's a lot of great parks out there and maybe they just need a little oomph. And we would see results right away. And I think that's a frustration for us. We're not seeing some concrete results for just sitting here from 6 to 8. I think we all have great energy. You try and rein us in and we're not listening to you. I'm sorry. So it's like herding cats because we get so excited about everything. But I do like everything about that. My thing is though, is the vandalism that happens everywhere throughout Gilroy, all throughout the state, everywhere. So that's why I keep pushing for, if we have a structure, we should have another place where people are playing and seeing and feel like that place is there. They have ownership of those, and there would be more to call the city and say, hey, I see these guys hanging around all the time. They can go home, make the phone call or do something. So I'm really about like the Red Barn. There's been a lot of money. We have that group of people that are wanting to do something with that. See, I see it as the old Gilroy dancing. You remember the dance, garlic dance? I see that we use that. What's that?
Can we put that into a to-do?
I would like to see it as a to-do but I think that we have to do a retreat style because I don't think we can talk as freely at this
Okay.
table. We're restricted by law and other kinds of protocols. So that's why I'm saying, I'd like to see a Saturday meeting.
The retreat is a public meeting.
I know it is, but I think it's a little bit more relaxed and I
It is,
think
yeah.
we come in and we could just kind of, because here we know there's gonna be some contentious kind of discussion or we're reined in a little bit more strictly than we might at the
So
retreat.
Terry, is there anything else
Nope, I said my say. Thanks for listening to me,
Okay.
guys. I appreciate it. I'm preaching to
Oh, that's all right.
choir.
Well, you kind of know how I feel about the master plans. And I think they're needed now, not 4 years from now. I don't know how to make that happen. Number one, as well, we are a recommendation body to the city council. We are also supposed to recommend on park or recreate park projects in the capital budget. Friggin' arm it. And so when we made our recommendation, it didn't go. Not anytime soon. Okay, so, and I'm frustrated with that. But I also see that now I'm in my final year and maybe a lot of people will be happy that I go away. But I am a old soul since I've worked with the city for 19 and a half years. And I was on a commission before I ever was an employee. And then now I'm on a commission again and I'm 7 years in and almost done. And I see me going away and
you know, in another couple of years, if you guys don't stay, you'll all go too. But I see you all need to be educated. And I'm not saying, I'm not saying it isn't collegiate, but how the city interworks. I know how things work, and I've tried to share that with you. And I think that's part of it. You guys need more education on how the budget works. What's the general budget, operating budget? We have no say in it. But we want to know about it. Okay? And then, you know, impact fees are only for new projects. They're not for maintenance. So these are little things you all need to know more about. Sam probably knows all those other. So I think in Bryson, in your case, maybe you can help educate so they understand. It's not so like you're trying to restrain them, but they understand, okay, that I'm knocking my head against the wall for this one because I'm not getting in operations, all right? But I think it would help them immensely. And I don't think that's something that we put on our master plan, our action plan, but I think it's something they need desperately.
As a teacher, I would just do a really quick kind of just, you know, an outline. And because we don't need to, you guys are the experts on all of that. You're the ones that have to rein us in and listen to us, you know, but and you are so oriented
Well,
towards
because
money.
I was staff and I
know.
know a lot of
Yeah.
how this all works.
But I
I
don't-
was the financial analyst years ago.
But I think, so all of us have a different agenda, we have a different reaction to being told, no, we can't do this, or we can do this, I think, and Adam, you're pretty good about reining us in, like I said, you know, and I can see your frustration sometimes when we overtalk it. But I just still think we need a retreat, just need to come together, and it's us together, and I think in the past, the retreat helped us understand where each one of us were coming from, so we can see your point of view. We don't need to argue about your point of view when we already know it, but we can meld those together, and that's why I'm pushing for some kind of off the table here. And I know it's a
Well,
Saturday,
it's
or it's another, maybe it's an afternoon.
It's a totally noticed meeting, the public's invited.
I
and we all know
understand.
that, and if they come, they come. Yeah, Evan has to do minutes or action items or
Take some
whatever.
time.
I have,
Turn the owl on there too, right?
yeah, yes, and I have no problem with having another retreat. But maybe I think we can get this pretty well done. But I think the part you're talking about, education part of it, the bringing us together part of it, I think that will help too. And that will also help us if we get the master plan, you know, say, we want to be involved in that. Because it's gonna be going next cycle, and that's next year. And
I was gonna say, you only have one more year, so what do you want?
I'm not only have 1 year, I have till November. I'm done.
A little less than a year.
Yeah.
So we need to look at that.
Well, that, and then this is why we developed the foundation, because we were also looking for funding sources. And, you know, God bless Angela, and we have had it done with Los Madres. And so Terry and I said, yeah, we'll all get together. And so, you know, Angela's here, and we kind of ran it through, and, you know, we have floundered a little bit since she's moved to Columbia, but I think we're getting there. You know, we already have one more, but I can see potential for some other people, and then we need to really get it in fundraising stuff. So you'll see us make contributions eventually.
But again, let's focus on.
Yeah, but that's part of he wants to find money. You know?
I know.
That's why we
but-
did it.
But it's,
That's not
yeah,
right.
again, let's just, the goal is to discuss and perhaps
Yeah.
Possibly adopt your work plan items. There's a number of items here that it sounds like you wanna roll over to this new work plan, which is fine. It really seems like you're just kind of narrowing down the bigger, newer items. But anyways, let's take them.
Okay.
Commissioner Davis.
Okay.
Well, you know what I'm gonna say. I'm all about the dog park, the whole dog park. That's my focus, it's what brought me here. I've been completely, embraced by the park thing in general, because I've visited the parks that I've been assigned, and I've had a new experience with that, but I still think that this board needs a dog park advocate, and that's me. So my focus as much as I can, is to be a dog park guy. Whether it's shade structures, benches, water, landscaping, and really the development of maybe one or two more dog parks in the city. Christmas Hill comes to mind. That's me. And you'll hear that from me every time I come to a meeting. Now, as far as all this other stuff goes, I'm completely interested, in particular with what you're talking about, getting funding and finding, because that's where I'm gonna get money for benches and trees and shade structures and everything else. And more money for the guys, maybe some more staffing for John. Because I know those guys are overwhelmed. But that's my focus.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't get to do the operations part. Cause when we went through the council layoffs, I mean, I was here, I was pleading the case for you guys and going to the hall and all your staff was like, Pat, thanks so much, and it's like, cause I totally believe it's a quality of life of going. And Sam, I think Sam and I, since we both were on the commissions before, yeah, it's quality of life. And so I want to still do that quality of life thing. So my part for this would be working on the capital side for next cycle, help get as far as you guys can get it when I leave, so somebody can take it over. Cause it's capital related, so I want to see capital stuff for next year.
Income related, money related.
Well, capital money.
Okay, well, okay, so I'm hearing a lot of different ideas here. Okay, so,
First few.
does someone want to, either make a motion or do you need me to kind of help you kind of narrow this
Well,
down here?
as far as the dog parks, and now that we've studied the one and you got the recommendation kind of things, and you and I talked later about maybe getting design standards, so that you get new dog parks, they're done right. And I think
That was in my memo.
yep, and then with that, that's another step. Then you have to go design with like guidelines, like planning or engineering.
Sure.
So then there's more meat for you, okay?
Absolutely.
So I totally support that, because I think we need the meat to go on the dog park. As far as, I guess I'm just jumping in here.
What
Yeah,
if,
let's,
what if you do this? What if we go through each item?
Okay, let's
and
do that.
If all of you support the item, that you can add it to the one item. And then if you're starting to see a division at a few of the items, then you
You
can
can
have
vote,
a
yeah.
discussion and see which one
That's a good idea.
is able to.
So that's those little boxes you have on that analysis, right? You just go down that list.
Yes, okay, so hosting Arbor Day.
I think that's a no-brainer.
that's so we
Just
can
drop.
retain our Arbor Day.
Yeah.
It is.
No-brainer, yeah, yeah.
I
we
mean,
gotta
it's
keep
pretty
that.
easy,
Yes.
it's mostly John's
Most of
staff.
these are
does
easy, right? Most of these are easy.
How do you feel about it, John?
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Would recommend that we do a little sooner in the year. so
Yeah.
we're not
Yeah, I agree with that.
December weather.
Yes,
I agree with that.
December, October.
Well, Arbor
Or
Day is
maybe we
usually
do it on
like,
Arbor Day.
that's this month, I
That would
think.
be something.
That's this month.
It does work nice that it falls when you do it in the fall, because you get the wet weather.
Yes.
yeah, which the
You
commission has
don't
done
go
many
into the
times.
summer months with the heat that.
Right, and that's kind of why we don't do it
To
that
get
way.
acclimated. for
Yeah.
So hosting Arbor Day, let's say fall 2024.
Sure,
Okay,
Yeah.
and then John and his staff will start to identify parks.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
Or
or a
locations.
park that could do it. And just so you know, it is a lot of work.
Absolutely.
oh, yeah,
But,
for the staff.
yes, it is a lot of work for that.
Plus,
day.
John does a lot of negotiating. Last year, you got it with the Yahoo group, right?
Google,
Google, sorry.
yeah,
Yeah. a lot
Greg.
from-
Yeah,
yes.
okay,
Um,
so what did we say on Arbor Day? We're gonna,
so it sounds like everyone's in favor of continuing it.
okay.
Again, it's gonna happen one way or the other, but
Yeah.
it's great when the commission is.
yeah,
So,
okay.
and we are a Tree City, so does that Arbor Day celebration falls under that,
Yes,
right?
it is
So
part of
what
the
other things
criteria.
fall under that, since we're a
To maintain your Tree
yeah,
City.
to
Yeah, so you
maintain
have to have
that,
a proclamation.
okay.
And
And
Adam
usually
takes care of that
chair
part.
would accept it, so
Okay.
last year it was Commissioner Ramirez. And then there's two other criterias that are not top line. Like one of them is you have to have a tree ordinance, which the city does, and then there's one other one, I forget what it is. But the big one's actually hosting Arbor Day, that's the one that tends to trip people up.
I'm just trying to think, I don't think we're that different, that far apart. I think we just need to start looking at melding some of these ideas and find out where they can land, and some of them are not gonna be
Yeah,
able
let
to
them go
land.
down the list and we'll see
Okay.
how we.
And see how they work.
Do
Okay.
you want to continue to, and again, you can still do this even if it's not on your work plan, but do you want it on your work plan, which is training opportunities for commissioners? So this is if there's a webinar, if there's.
I mean, I like that, and usually staff brings it before us,
Yes,
and, you know, back to Pat's point, I think it's I mean, I don't know the inner workings of cities, I have a general idea. But if there's something out there, just a general, and you guys went to school and got masters and all kind of stuff, but I just have an idea of that's a training opportunity. So keep bringing those, and I think the better educated you are, the better commissions. will be.
Well, and his background is CPA, so there's a guy who understands finances already.
So,
Maybe
yeah.
not city finances, because it is different animal, but he's gonna be your guy.
That'll
Okay.
take it last.
Okay.
Three?
okay, so is the commission in favor of?
Yeah, I think we need to
Entertaining
keep it
that.
on there because it
Yeah.
also helps
I
you,
agree.
if we need some little budget once in a while for training.
It's kind of
maybe-
voluntary, isn't it? I mean.
Yeah,
we-
yeah.
Yes. Good.
And it is, you know, the city training that some of us are gonna be getting this next month or so. The one we got the memo about,
Well, diversity training?
yeah, diversity training,
Yeah.
that's a training
It
too.
is, it is.
So, yeah,
Yes,
I think what's it, Sam, I think for me, because I didn't know anything really about Parks and Rec, I mean, I've lived here forever, wasn't born and raised, but I loved going to Morgan Hill with you. And then we got to see different cities and how they worked, and we all break down into smaller groups, and some of the stuff they're doing is like, it's off the charts.
Yeah.
And it's creative thinking, it's not necessarily money being put in, and I think those, I would like to keep that piece in there, it's what my vote is.
next one is monitor city parks.
Yeah, and,
Yes.
but also the workshops that you can you'll hear about and
Yes,
advise us.
so
Okay.
monitor city parks.
Yeah. No, right.
Yeah, because I think that also, you know, we have dialogue going on with John and his crew and, you know, we can kind of, so he doesn't have to do this full report of like Bill used to do, but it was like, you know, there's been some issues and vandalism, what's going on. You know, the bathroom got destroyed at Christmas Hill, it's finally gonna get redone. So I think it's really important that we talk about that stuff.
Can I say something very quickly about Las Animas Park? I was just over there, oh my God,
You do that.
all the
Oh, yeah,
water.
no.
Okay, so I can't say that,
Why don't
okay.
you write it down?
Okay.
Save it for your report.
Oh, are we gonna have time for report?
Yeah, this
Okay,
is a
fine.
late night, this is not an 8 o'clock.
Okay. All right,
Who
let's
said
keep
that?
going.
Oh, no, I have
Participate,
no problem with that,
participate
though. I
in
have no problem with
citywide events.
I have no
So we brought back breakfast with Santa.
Yep.
Seemed like the commission enjoyed participating in that. If there's
Mhm.
other events that the commission can participate in representing the commission.
Yeah.
What about
Yeah.
the
I've
coffee in
done
the
it for
park?
10 years and.
That's a
I'll
good
do it
question.
again.
I like the,
Is that gonna go away?
I'd like to bring that back. We didn't do it last year because we didn't have a public, works director, a coffee in the park, where Parks and Rec shows up and just gets community input. We announce it, we send out flyers, we show up, and then we just get feedback on safety issues, whatever ever neighbors have to say about a park. And we can rotate that, you know, 1 year to the next to different parks, and Las Animas was a hot button last year.
Well, yeah, we had a lot of people come in and talk about, you know, what was going on.
Safety issues.
Safety issues, and so we thought, well, let's have a good thing going on in the park and.
I still have the flyer for that,
Police
so.
showing and all that kind of stuff.
Was that when we
Okay,
fed
let's
people?
keep- Let's keep going down the list.
Yeah, but let's keep that on the list.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I wrote it down, so I'm gonna bring it
Yeah,
up
I
in
like
a
it.
moment, but let's just keep going down the list here. So, the BTA Measure B program, so, you know, as you know, that there's still plenty of funding available. Much of it will be spent on this new GIS consultant, and then again, we still can continue Bike to Wherever Day, which is gonna be in May.
Sure.
And then there may be some ancillary
Yeah.
events.
Okay.
Okay,
And we can use the GIS, the funds for GIS.
Measure,
Are
we
we
use the
stuck?
Measure B funds to cover the GIS.
Okay, because I thought it was just education, but I realized it'll have an education component.
And encouragement, so you're
Okay.
encouraging people to use parks, you're
Okay.
encouraging people to use trails, you're encouraging people to bike.
Okay.
The projects are you see the bus and BTA manage that.
Yes.
Yeah,
We have it right.
wonderful. Okay,
Okay, okay, so, and then I'm just gonna skip the next one, cause
Right.
I'm kind of doing the low hanging fruit here, so
Okay.
pickleball analysis.
Yes.
Okay, you're gonna be involved in it, might as well.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Have it on your-
well, and it's
Okay.
also a report to the council, since they kind of were.
Okay, so at this point, okay, this is, and I hopefully you've been doing the same thing, you've been checking off the ones that the commission has verbally said that they're
Mhm.
interested in maintaining.
Right.
So you've got host Arbor Day, you've got training opportunities, monitor city parks, participate in citywide events, VTA Measure B programs, being involved like in those aspects, and then the pickleball analysis. So you're already have a pretty thorough work plan. So I caution you now in the next phase, this is where you're gonna have to whittle it down. Okay, so you've got studying opportunities for Parks and Recreation Services to have dedicated funding sources, and then what does that look like, that study? And again, I talked about using the dog park memo as kind of template, that's one way to go about that. Studying shade structures for a playground, okay? It may sound simple, but I think it's actually a lot more involved than you realize, you know, and again, I had already kind of discussed just the tip of the iceberg, what that would entail. Exploring future development of Christmas Hill Park ranch sites. Now, since there isn't a park master plan, you know, it may be premature to even have that discussion, you know, until something more formalized would come up, and then you can really find what your options are. Continuing discussion of city dog parks, coffee in the park, and then the story walk idea.
Could we also include on exploring future development of Christmas Hill Park Ranch site and the Mars master plan? Throw the master plan in there, maybe you don't have to have a separate item. And then also the sports park, because, you know, we're gonna be getting the arena, skating arena, hockey arena. But that park can be bigger, you know, and have more stuff in it. So.
So
think-
I like it, I mean, funding source includes all that, right? Whether we get it through the capital CIP project, you know, it just gets on there, but nothing happens, and then once we get money, somehow we need to find money to do master plans, a park master plan, Gilroy Sports
Well,
Park.
we don't find it, council finds it.
Right,
And they've gotta cut it out for capital and,
so
but
maybe
we
it's,
have to advocate.
but I like what, I mean, maybe all this, for me, passion, it just comes down to a 3-page memo that we present to council and just says, you know, we really need this, and this is why we need it, and this is
Yeah, I
what we
think you're
need to do, and what we need to do, and this is why we need city input. How you do that, it could be 3 or 4-pronged approach, it could be the grants, it could be the sales tax measure if it goes forward with this, with the fire station, it could be impact fees if we get the master plan together. Maybe that's what it comes down to, just a stupid 3-page memo.
Well, and
Oh,
now
sorry,
that we have a
that's what-
director who is permanent and she kind of sees what's going on, she already knows that the traffic master plan needs updating. You know,
Trails.
no, traffic too.
It would be bike and actually.
Yeah, okay, but
Yes.
I mean, I know the traffic, there are people who pay impact fees to what's going on with the roads and stuff, so that's probably needs looking at too. You know, you can't raise impact fees because you have no new master plans. And we haven't had new master plans since before I retired, and that was 15 years ago. So she's got a lot of work cut out for her. Don't leave.
So, I don't know how we
So-
word all that.
I don't even know where we take a step forward on it.
I mean, what I would say based on your feedback thus far is, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items that you're all in agreement with.
Would
you
I'm gonna
repeat those
repeat
again?
them. Well, hold on a
Okay,
second.
because I want to make
And
sure.
then, you know, what Commissioner Ramirez is saying, which is to do that, I call it the dog park study template, it seemed to work well. But however you wanna go about doing that, which is basically spending time, outside the meeting, compiling that information during the meeting. And then eventually bringing it all together into a summary where you physically, you know, can present it to council, you know, at the annual commission presentation.
As long as we don't let it go away. the
Right.
funding part.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the presentation to council. We can say it, but you get 5 minutes,
Yeah.
you know?
But there's other things we can
Oh, yes, yes.
start writing letters.
Well, if they, but if they
Prepare
see,
every
it,
day,
if they
but-
see it on our master plan, then they know
Working,
work plan,
Yeah.
sorry, then.
Yeah.
Hopefully they kind of see what we're doing. I don't know if they do. but-
Want me
Question?
to work something up?
Go ahead.
For you're talking about your dog,
No, talking about, I wrote the dog park memo. Do you want me to work up something in this regard? or-
Well, I think we can work together on that, because this is a passion thing for me, so.
Absolutely, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna like,
yeah,
put pen and paper.
I'd
Well,
like to
yeah.
do maybe a PowerPoint or something.
or at least, I mean, I'm willing to work with you guys. and-
Yeah. maybe
Kind of-
so.
well, I think that, you know, with all due respect to the dog park, that was just one type of park. This is gonna be much more.
Well, he's just talking about giving you a.
No, I know, well, I guess what I'm saying is that it's gonna require all hands on deck, and
Yeah,
perhaps
thank
each of you will be responsible for one aspect.
Yeah.
Within this topic, you know, whether it just be, you know, types of parks or, you know, recreational services or bond measures, whatever it is, you know, and that's what I think the commission can spend time,
Mhm.
you know, trying to figure out, if that's what you want to go
Sure.
about.
Okay,
I like the
I'm
story.
just talking about
I do
being
too.
the one
I
that
like to
make
say
the
that too.
final.
Yes, and when we get to that point, right, because that's toward the
I'm
end,
not saying I wanna write them, you know,
yeah,
be a master of the rules and all that other stuff. I just
Yeah.
volunteering my.
Yeah.
My English minor.
So Sam, what did you say about,
I like the story walk.
I do too like that, I like that too,
There are
because there's
19
money there.
and they would like to present to the commission too.
Yeah, because
I
there
like
are
that.
19 free
Yeah, I think
libraries
that's-
that people
I think
have,
it's a
like
no-brainer.
one
It should
that
be
we have in
relatively
front of
easy.
our house.
Yes,
There are
and
19 of
That's
those
what
in
kind of-
Gilroy.
Okay.
Yeah,
What can we-
and that's a good, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Another one.
Yeah.
And
So
it
if,
shows-
you know, sign me up for that. If we do that.
I like that too.
Well,
I
we
just have to say too,
We have to find a location. And that's.
Yeah.
And
That
that's
and
what the commission, again,
Yeah.
working with staff, you know, will,
But we have to do, this is a short one, right? We only have like 6 months to do this one?
you're talking about the story walk?
yeah,
No, you're confusing that with their,
But I thought the library's grant was, our money was only good for so long.
no,
Okay,
no,
cool,
no, not this particular project.
okay.
I'm just feeling like there's just real energy here. We need to winnow down some stuff because we can just talk about this all, but what are we gonna do come next month? What are we gonna do the next, I think we need to look at where we're going, and your comment, John, you know, is about you can't plant trees in the middle of winter, so we need to look at, you know, that, just to use that as an example, we need to take advantage of our timing with some of these things. Story walk is great during the summertime or springtime for the kids, planting trees. I'm just feeling like we've got a lot of things to do. They are not necessarily new things. But the other thing is too, we talked about pickleball for a long time, and we're finally gonna see pickleball here. So something we've done has resonated within the council, or you guys are just sick of us. Pounded at you verbally. So, and Sam, you are a great asset. You've got so much history with Gilroy. So I feel like I don't wanna leave without knowing what is our next step.
Well, it sounds like actually the commission has narrowed it down to.
I want that confirmed, you know.
Well, you can confirm it tonight, hosting
Yes.
Arbor Day, training opportunities, monitor city parks, participate in citywide events, ETA Measure B, programs, pickleball analysis. Was it studying opportunities for parks and recreation services to have dedicated funding sources, and that can all be reworked, this, you know,
Cool.
and then possibly the story walk.
Yeah.
And I think that's a
Good.
healthy, good volume.
I agree with that, but I would not leave out, dogs thing. I think advocating for city dog parks should still stay on there.
Well,
And that way it
design
comes up, we can
guidelines.
always have to study that, but that, I think.
Well, we have a great resource over here on dog park, so we,
Yeah, I think it should stay on. there.
he'll never go away as long as.
The dog, and I tell you,
The dog wants it,
Well,
doesn't it?
we have
The
enough?
dog happy.
And then maybe.
Do we need a motion of some kind?
Yes.
we
Yeah,
will,
so I
but-
move that we,
Whoa, whoa, we're not there,
What?
we're not there,
That's all.
oh, we're not,
there yet, we're getting
yeah, okay, hurry.
it. But in his next segue for the dogs is the design guidelines and maybe working with planning to come up with a memo on what you want in a park, how big it should be. There should be water, should be trees, should be, have to have all that. Or the next guy comes in with a specific plan of whatever, what they want.
I don't know if we want,
We've already
you still
done that
gotta get
without
back
getting
with the-
too granular.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
but
gotta
I'm
get
saying,
into
but
detail and
that's the part
expertise that
that
we're
he
not.
does with his next phase of dog parks.
Well, and that overlaps into shade structures and other facilities for playgrounds and things of that nature. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive to dog parks. I'm just, that's kind of my,
Well, I heard somebody say template, so I mean, that's a template
Yeah,
for whatever else we might be doing.
well, in the original memo, there was a template or a 5-point bullet plan
Okay,
for requirements or suggestions guidelines that we follow for future dog parks.
okay.
yeah, but the bottom line is, once we got the recommendation for the dog park, the basics. Now we have to, next step is, it has to turn into real design guidelines, and that's not done by us. That's done by staff,
Right,
and then that way, and I know why, because they do it in like tentative maps, well, you gotta do this, you gotta have that, you gotta give the city this, and if we don't have that. If the city doesn't have that, then it won't happen with dog.
Guys,
Can I
So
say
it's
something
another
too about
step.
the dog park, cause I go to that place all the time. We're talking about the dog park, is that really like, is that enough room, square footage for the dogs? How many dogs are there a day? I was there, that place was chewed up big time. I mean, you can't even do anything right
we're
now
starting
with
to
that
get into
grass.
the,
So,
Walk
I,
with.
but all I'm saying is, we're talking dog park, but do we have I can't think what, the recommendations that make a good dog park, because if there's that many people and that much energy, we want that to work, and it's a small area.
you're
For
talking
the
about Third
dog.
Street?
Yeah, I am talking
well,
about Third Street.
so we're getting into details that
I
aren't gonna
know.
help this. I mean, city is responsible for how that thing is gonna be built, okay? So
But we are
it is what
throwing
it
out
is.
ideas, and I don't want anybody to say, well, I wasn't listened to, or my idea didn't float or anything. I think, there's a lot of strong opinions and personalities, and they all have to be heard at this point.
I don't understand where we're going with this, I guess.
I have a
think we're
problem.
just lost in details. Where are we going?
Yeah.
I think advocating
That's what-
doctors should stay on the list. I don't think we should get into this granular, how we're gonna design the dog
Absolutely
park.
not.
No,
That
this
was
is not
never said.
tonight.
That was
I mean,
not said at all.
Yeah.
But you're right. We need to either prioritize or walk away knowing what direction are we going in.
Could we, Patty, could we celebrate the fact that we have things to do? And we have a list of those and pass it,
This will keep you busy.
and
Yes.
so, is that okay, Patty?
Yeah.
So I move that we pass the list that was established
Like
by
it.
Adam.
I second.
Any other comment? Okay, I have one comment. When you write this up for next meeting, we might have to flesh out some of the way you just.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
What is the measurable goal?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and is it really saying what we also intended? Because we kind of put a couple things together. I want to make sure they're fleshed out. Like capital.
Good.
Okay, so yeah, all in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye.
And this includes the story walk? I just wanna make
Yes,
sure.
absolutely.
Okay.
I go to sleep.
And then some of these things are gonna come up higher in the list because they can get done,
Yes.
or wherever you want, but, yeah. Now, one thing is in the master plan, I was, update gift and sponsorship. Is that now done now, Bryce, or?
No, was hoping to get to it last year, I
Yeah.
didn't, and I don't wanna put it back on the work plan, so. And also, yes,
But I can do a comment. So we adopted the donation policy.
Yeah.
There's special carve out in that policy for the Parks and Recreation naming. policy.
Okay.
So where there's conflict, Parks and Recreation, policy stands.
Yeah. Yeah.
In time, eventually, we're gonna have to incorporate that one, but that is more legalese issue, so
Sure.
that would probably be, if we do it, it would probably be staff driven.
Yeah.
And then we come to Parks and Commission saying, hey, here's some of the changes, just like we did with the.
So we could actually pull it off for us and it's.
remember, that was last year's work plan, so.
Yeah,
this-
I just wanna make sure it's sort of done what we could do. Is that, I'm thinking?
Resolve.
Yeah, I mean, that plan now has expired. so
Okay, well,
I
it just
think-
said no update. I'm like,
That's
okay.
not on our list for this
No,
year.
it's on last year's.
Last year, but you kind of build this year's from last year, so I wanna make sure that's how I'm hearing more. And if we have to help Bryce, then we have to help Bryce. He comes back and says, hey, we need your input on it.
Yeah.
Because we did have a concern for foundation stuff in the future. How do we donate some of this stuff? Or, we wanna we wanna buy a state structure when we get enough donations.
All right,
Yeah,
for the sake of the meeting, let's.
Yeah, that's fine. That's it. So we included the storybook.
Story walk, yes.
Story walk, yep.
Okay,
And,
we're on 12.1.
flip that. 12.1, department updates and recreation division updates, so.
Okay.
Adam,
And this is on the last page of your packet. I'm not gonna go through everyone for the sake of time, but you can see front and center, there's a picture of pickleball players.
Yeah.
So the
Some of my
recreation-
neighbors on it.
Oh, great, yes, so it was, we had a pickleball tournament, very successful, first one that we've done in Wheeler. There were 24 participants, we had 2 winners, because they played.
Who won? Just out of curiosity.
Pickleball tournament.
Okay.
But you're right, you know,
Okay, yeah, I'd like to know.
anyways, also too, we've got, we had a youth basketball league, they just finished up their season,
cool.
8 weeks over at Solorzano Middle School, we had over 100 players. Lots of parents who volunteered as coaches, big success.
Just out of curiosity, what's the cost of that?
All right.
I think it was $187 per child, and if they were eligible for a youth scholarship, they would get 50% off.
But how much? 50?
I don't know.
So we still have that youth scholarship?
We do, yes.
Okay,
Yes, and
Good.
and it's heavily utilized.
terrific.
How do you figure that out? Through the school district? Who's entitled or,
Oh, in terms, if they're eligible?
yeah, they're eligible?
90% of the people, if they have a letter confirming that they're eligible for a reduced or free
Free
lunch
lunch,
program.
Yeah, they're vetted.
That
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
And you still take donations from outside?
we will never reject a donation. No. Anyways, we also celebrated Chinese New Year's at the senior center. We had adapted Valentine's Day dance at the senior center. We're doing, we're hosting ARP, who is actually doing taxes for eligible seniors at the senior center. If you need an appointment, you'll be on the waiting list.
That's really nice.
And there's some other interesting information. I'll let you use that at your leisure. Do you have any questions? No? Okay.
I'm really glad that we got the thing about the aquatics extended for another year, so.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yes, we exercised the option for a 3rd year for Swimming Swan. They'll be back this summer. And then we'll go back out for an RFP and see if there's another operator, or we'll continue with the current
And you'll be
Nice.
able to use the
Very nice.
aquatic stuff,
operator.
the
Yes, the water slides.
white water stuff.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
that's
they
great.
will be in operation this year.
Okay.
That was really well.
Yeah, that's
Welcome.
turned out really good. I mean, I didn't know
Very
last
well.
year with my grandkids for swim lessons, but I did the year before and I thought it was great,
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that.
even though they had their own pools.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And then, I was at the Chinese New Year lunch after we
Yes.
met,
Yes.
so.
Do we,
and
I'm gonna push on to just,
Yep.
is there anything with the parks that we need to discuss?
Yes, I want to turn over to
John,
John
I'll go
for the
Yeah.
Parks
Yeah.
report.
Okay, thank
then,
you.
city parks.
Let's see. So far for the past month, The Gilroy Sports Park restrooms, should be completed, this week. We're
No, good.
waiting for a chase to cover the pipes that have been, burnt out. So, we're supposed to pick that up this afternoon, so it should just be, painting it and putting it back up, and we should have all 4 restrooms open. They haven't been open in, I don't know how long,
I walked to the park, there 3 of them were open, so yeah.
Yeah, so it's, should be up, I'm, anticipating those by the end of the week, we'll have all. of those.
Nice.
Nice.
Mulberry restroom at CHP, we're just waiting on one last quote to make a decision on, moving forward with the repairs. The first quote we got was, just godly high, last quote was something a lot more normal. So we're hoping to see if there's a big discrepancy or if we have 2 pretty low ones, but we may go with one of those quotes. And
John, is this these smaller restrooms?
the smaller ones, yes,
Okay, so everyone knows those are not accessible.
Right.
at the picnic areas.
Mhm.
The new one for the bird one, from the last I heard is, pushing into summer.
Summer.
Yeah, at this time.
So we have those little bathrooms for the whole park at the one end of the park.
Yeah, theaters.
Next to,
And then the amphitheaters, so,
Yeah,
yeah,
Okay.
hopefully we get those ones, back up and running soon. Like we were talking about last meeting, we've been working on, mainline repairs. El Roble, Sunrise, Delray, Los Animas had 4. Gilroy Sports Park, Hector Pass Park, Ranch Side and Sunrise have all been repaired since then.
Interesting. Wow, that's really good.
We're, just finalizing the quotes for the, play structure mark, fiber bark, the mulch.
Okay.
So we should be moving towards a contract with the favorable quote.
which park is that?
It's for 7 parks,
Oh, for all 7.
Rainbow, San Isidro. No, sorry. Rainbow, Los Arroyos, Casper, Miller, CHP, or Christmas Hill Park, and I'm missing a couple, but 4.
Yeah.
But there's 7
Okay,
total.
yeah.
Okay.
We've been, focused on staff getting certificates, signing finishes, qualified applicators certificates, so he's completed his, requirements to pass his probation next month. Myself and Everard passed our class A, so that's been taking staff away because we've been over, splitting the half days for the past 4 weeks, training to drive the vehicles.
Oh, gosh.
Some of the baseball repairs, Christmas Hill Park, Los Animas, and the Majors at Sports Park are getting, new, baseball, the home plates. Los Animas and Christmas Hill are also gonna get, new, bump pads for the backstops.
Oh, nice.
Great.
Yeah,
So
great.
we're working on those
Good,
repairs.
good, good.
We did start, a pesticide application to vegetation management throughout the city. Pressure washing, it's still, at City Hall still happening, we're progressing with that. We're still working on finding the funding for sidewalk, grinding, at the various parks where we have the rate.
I think some of it has to be told, the electrical, Luigi.
Yeah, Luigi.
Yes, cause it's,
Rainbow,
yeah.
Chris, Sydney Park, yeah.
John, what were you finding the funding for?
Oh, we're looking into the funding for the grinding, the
Where's that?
Sidewalk grinding.
the
just a
sidewalk
little-
grinding, the race,
They're
and
located-
Inside parks.
Yeah,
inside parks.
thank you.
Also, we've been acquiring the fence slats. I don't know if you guys have probably noticed, you walk the trail under Santa Teresa and Third Street. Someone broke a bunch of the fence slats there, about 10 of them in a row,
Okay.
and the concrete slat fences.
Yeah, those are not easy to break.
Yeah, so we've ordered those, we've also ordered some for other parts, so we're working on getting those here. They actually come, as we've learned, they're a special Gilroy rustic color that has to be made.
Okay.
So that's taken its time.
Who'd have thought?
And then we still have the trees at the memorial site that we need to get planted. Hopefully now that we're back to full staff, not raining, we can take advantage of some of the clear weather and get those things.
Oh, yeah.
But that's kind of where we've been at, staying with graffiti's been constant from Christmas Hill and Fort Park and Cedar under why, but it seems like it's been.
You guys are doing a good job of covering it up, so.
John, on Rainbow Park, we had put 3 trees in probably about 4 years ago. 2 of them have died, so we might wanna,
Along Mantinelli, those.
yeah.
The ones on the sidewalk there,
sidewalk.
Yeah,
they
they
never
for sure.
get done.
Yeah, we need to get those.
I think they were just a little too immature or something.
John? So the trees that Google provided you with, did they do any kind of, thank you very much, Google? I'm not thinking of Greg, I'm thinking of Google. They gave them to us, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they did do, thank you, but they were very, I think what I'm saying. Careful not to use a lot of Google. When we had asked Greg, he advised us not to use too much of Google's things, just by on the whole process with the lending and the gifting that they didn't want Google's name all over.
Oh,
Under the radar.
Probably why I didn't hear too much Google.
there were only 13,000 left,
Right.
Well, that's good that there's more.
Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, that's why it was mostly because GV's. the one
Okay.
that I see,
Thank you.
that's
Oh.
most, Yeah.
good question.
Are any of them oak trees that are left?
The 4 for, the
Memorial?
memorial side are, and then we planted at,
The reason I ask is because Adam was mentioning some of the trees that we planted on the ranch site. Luis, your and my trees, I think ours are still alive, but he said some of them have failed, so maybe,
Are you about the demonstration?
Yeah.
yeah.
we're talking, oh.
Yeah.
Those that came from Tree City or something?
No,
Wasn't that part of
our
the
city
county?
forest.
Our city forest,
Yeah.
yeah.
I wonder if that program, I think that program is finished.
I don't.
I don't know if you guys were aware that the trees, the site they were planted at, the 3 trees. When you look on the website for the 3 trees, the only parts of the city that were eligible for 3 trees was east of Monterey Road.
Is that,
Makes
I
sense.
didn't know that.
So
Sure, it's
anything
Is that right?
Here,
a money issue.
not eligible.
Oh, I did
Well,
not
it's a
know that.
CAL FIRE thing, so that's all
CAL
CAL
FIRE?
FIRE. Kind of CAL FIRE grant, so
Wow,
we were answering a lot of calls to we're too happy that they were eligible.
Well, I thought it was, that our city trees was like a county program, not a CAL FIRE.
They're contracted by the county. It's a nonprofit organization. I really can't speak, I can't speak much more. to
Yeah.
it than that.
So when you look at the unincorporated side, it's covered by totally
No.
CAL FIRE, so it goes all the way
Interesting.
out to
Right,
where?
152
Yeah,
or
yeah.
almost to the Coyote Lake.
Wow.
Yeah,
Ah,
so, yeah, that was just something
That's-
in the
Well, wasn't
research.
Michelle
That's a
involved? in
great,
our
that's a great lesson, I didn't know that.
Sure.
She was with the county.
Yeah.
Wow, thank
That
you.
area, yeah,
You're probably learning a lot too.
every day, yeah.
Okay,
All right,
So Commissioner Park reports and comments, section 13.1. So park assignments, I'll go first since I'm listed first. Delray Park. Didn't go there this week because the kids are out of school, but John's already got lists of some lifting and things like that of cement. But well, when I was there the week before, everything was fine. We had a little Lake Luigi when we had some bad rain, but then I think that
Yeah.
comes and goes. As far as Ren's Park, did my drive by. It's nice. It's just, you know, a nice little green space area. Sydney Castle Park, that's the one that's close to where I live, and so I walk that one just every day. I went into the park a little bit today with the rain. I'm really glad to hear that you're doing the mulching, because definitely needs some mulching in there. And there has been some die off of some small, like juniper shrubs and stuff like that in there. Maybe eventually we could do some replanting, but other than that, looks good. And I've been checking for graffiti, like the kind of stuff, the bad stuff that we had, doesn't seem like any problem, so that's good news. I didn't check the hopscotch area because that was too internal, my dog didn't wanna go there today. And, yeah, so other than that, that's my report on those.
Okay.
Sam? Your turn. My
Sam?
report?
I went by Carriage Hills. And I went by, El Roble, and I said to Adam, I says, we ought to, oh, there's a good place for, pickleball. And then I found out that, one of the parents of Lori Kent, it's her
Oh.
mother that lives right next to the court, so we better not do that. Okay?
Yeah.
And then I go by Miller regularly, but I didn't go into the bathrooms or anything like that, but I'll get better at it.
You don't wanna go in there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Doc, you're next.
So, yeah, it seemed every time I went out to make my rounds of the parks, it was pounding rain.
Yeah,
I did get to see, the progress, again, as I said to John earlier, the progress that the trees are making out there. The grass is filled in really nicely, and, you know, the folks are pleased with so far with what we've accomplished out there with that, and everything's going the way we wanted it to, with your plantings and things of that nature, so that's all good. See, sunrise, I did notice, everything looked pretty good. Again, nobody's out there because it's raining. The only thing I noticed was some of those fence, you know, the little, I don't know what you call those fences.
Fence slats?
Yeah, the ones that are, the long ones that insert into the posts.
Concrete.
Some of the top ones are busted off. I don't know if it's kids intentionally doing that or if it's just wear and tear. But there's probably a half dozen of those at least, and it's more aesthetic than anything else. It's not a security thing or anything like that. It's just something that I noticed, being a builder, those kinds of things catch my eye. Nothing drastic. You know, Christmas Hill again, didn't get around in there too much because it's kind of soggy and it was raining and things of that sort, but, let's see, Forest. Everything looked really good there. Otherwise, I mean, that's about it, really.
Right, I've got Christmas Hill Park, we've already talked about. Los Arroyos, that's a little park there that's got near off of Hirosaki, I think. So we have a pool there, you know. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, so I don't need to talk about it.
There.
It's, it's all fenced off, thank God, but there was some little one that you could just tell, she's like looking like she's gonna push over some of that stuff. So there's no drainage below it. And the concrete comes this way, but the drop is probably what, a 2.5 foot drop down into where the playground and stuff is, and it's filled with water. There's no drainage whatsoever.
No drainage or no one's found the drainage, is that?
Oh, that could
we're
be.
Looking into that, yeah.
But there was a dribble of, so if you look at one corner of it, there was a pipe there that was just dribbling water during the summer. So I don't know what water source that is, if it's an irrigation. All I know is I've seen that park twice now over the last 6 months filled with water, and it's sitting water, right? I don't even know, it must seep down into the ground, right? I mean, obviously, or evaporate.
Sure.
Yeah,
So-
I'm trying to make my way to Headley's plans that.
Have you seen it yet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you see, it's like, you look at it, you go,
Yeah, we need to do what we did over at Los Animas with the Vector, find the drain and clear it out.
okay.
Locating where the drain is in there, I can just see the plans before we dig up.
Oh, absolutely.
And then, and if I'm around, cause that's one of my parks, I'll, when it's drained down, when it's evaporated, I'll look for those kinds of things
Yeah.
for you also too.
Thank you.
So, yeah, Los Arrays, Rainbow is always a cute little park, there's nothing wrong with it at all. Farrell is a piece of grass, what can we say?
And a couple of trees.
It was supposed to be there for Antonio Del Bono, the school there, and it never came about, so there was nothing, so it looks fine. And just overall, it looks great. I tend to go out to, the sports park. I like that area. I'll ride my bike around that. And there's just, again, that the soft squishy padding stuff that instead of concrete, that's starting to wear and stuff like that. And then there's, I don't know,
We
it's
just
like,
did it at the
The
sports
sports
park.
park?
yeah, and the kids oh, I'm telling you what I saw
Right, yeah.
2 days ago. Yeah, I was by the slides where the kids hit the impact. Yeah, there was some stuff. And then there's like these sparkly things or something stuck up in the chicken wire up there, the fence. I don't know what it is. It's really interesting. Yeah, you know how you got the little barbecue pits, if you will, the stand-up barbecue?
Yeah.
Things, so people, there's charcoal and like people have done probably cooked it, well, I don't know. But then if you look up the chain link fence, I guess it's called, there's some, I don't know, like the little things stuck into the little pockets. Yeah, it's not a big deal. And the park looks great. And the guys are really nice. I mean, out there, they're just, for as big a park it is, I feel safe. If I'm riding my bike, I won't walk it, but just riding my bike, I can always spot them around that location. And for a woman, I think that's really, especially an old lady, it's really important to see that it's, safe. So it's.
All right,
it looks great.
Luis. Yeah.
Gilroy Sports Park, I don't notice the sparkly things, but the windscreen behind, Park A2, that one's, it's not attached to it's just flying in the wind and, there's windscreen, and then also behind the ducks, they got holes in them, so. And I think something about the bullpens, they don't drain very well.
At
They're
all.
all stuff, a little bit flooded, so I don't know if that's just a generic drain issue, but the park does look fantastic, and people were flying kites and playing baseball, and so it was just amazing.
And I'm gonna talk really quick. Did you see anybody putting up any soccer goals? We were there a couple of days ago and there were people out there putting up white soccer goals, and I just wondered, that I know that they're not
We do
popular, or do we have that?
These are groups who
Okay.
rent the space for
Okay.
soccer.
Okay,
San Isidro, I walked that today, the grass looks great. I didn't see any graffiti the whole time there. People, so that one looked fine. A little bit wet, so I like all of them. Las Animas, there's an unhoused person living behind one of the buildings on the eastern side. There's a tent that's been it's flattened. I don't know if anybody pitches it at night over by the dog park. So, but as far as the park looked fine. Butcher Park is, if you've never been to Butcher Park, you gotta see it.
where is it?
It's right across from the courtyard.
It's right, so Elliott School, yeah, it's a little, it's an interesting little park.
Smaller than.
Yeah,
Ray's.
yeah, it's so,
Okay.
that one I can drive by, it looks fine, so,
Okay.
that's it.
There's a bench and a tree.
Couple benches actually. Pickleball?
It's by the no.
Oh, okay, the motel.
So that's my report.
Okay.
Thank you. All right,
Okay,
You all have to go out. If you don't live in Gilroy and we're talking about these parks and we're kind of poking and stuff, you gotta go out and see what's out of the fringes. John, I'm gonna show you see everything, and our parks just make everything look good around it.
Yeah, beautiful.
yeah, try their best. Okay, staff comments.
All right, we have a new public works director.
We had to wait. What's her name?
How do you pronounce your last name?
Hiba,
Hiba.
Hiba Gindi, and maybe I can share a little bit about myself, but I would like to briefly comment on something, a point that was made. We are already in the process of updating the traffic impact fees. But these are fees dedicated for improvements on the public roads.
Okay.
To serve the multimodal traffic movements. There is no nexus to use these fees for improvements within parks,
Okay, yes,
just for clarification purposes.
yeah.
Well, I joined the city last week. I'm happy to be here.
Congratulations.
I
Yeah,
look
we're
forward
very
to
happy.
working with you and support you to the best of my ability. And to tell you a little bit about myself, both my bachelor and my master degrees are in civil engineering. I am also a licensed traffic engineer. Most of my work in the past 30 plus years has been for local government, so for the public sector. And it actually came a full circle for me because I did work for the city of Gilroy when I was a consultant over 20 years ago.
wow.
I was one of the consultants that updated the general plan. We worked on a number of school safety projects, development projects. So
Did you work for
I'm back to my home.
Did you work for Keith Higgins and stuff? Did you
I'm
work-
sorry?
Did you work for Keith Higgins or?
I worked for Higgins Associates. It was later purchased by Hatchmont McDonald. So, yes.
Great.
All right, so you're kind of a Gilroy person.
She knows about Gilroy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
great.
I am.
Welcome.
Awesome.
Very glad to have
Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm glad to have you.
you. Okay, future commissioner initiated items. I guess, I do have the one is that I had a lunch with the, Red Barn, Mike Monroe and,
Very well.
yeah, Gary Walton. And, we talked about, you know, collaboration and talked about, you know, their future with the city and, you know, what they want to see kind of happen and working with Bryce and things like that, or the policies and stuff. They're hoping for, they've raised over $1.5 million out there for all those improvements. And, so, you know, they feel like they're probably still willing, but they definitely want some direction from the city and maybe some help for bathrooms, some little park structure, some little, you know, to make it more, utilized. And then hopefully for future rental opportunities. So I know, you know, the city does that with other properties. Anyway, so
Is that
they,
something within our review because it's on parkland? Is
well,
is
it
the barn
helps us,
itself?
it helps us to
Yeah, that's some-
understand.
Well, let me ask you this, we just wanted the future commissioner initiated items.
Yeah, well, that's what they want to come back and have like about half an hour.
Okay, well, I can reach out to Gary and see exactly, because
Yeah.
they've already done kind of an introductory.
Yeah, but it was
presentation.
very limited, like
No, I
5
know,
minutes.
I know, but let's see what the next phase is.
Okay.
Yeah, because they do want more time to educate.
Okay.
So that's what my initiated item is. Does anybody else have anything? Okay, and from that, looks like we can go to adjournment. I can't believe it's only 8:19. It feels like 10.
Does anybody want to talk more? Does anybody want to listen?
Okay,
I use my laptop.
Did you adjourn?
Not yet.
Oh,
What about Saturday? Are we off the hook on Saturday?
Yes.
Yes, there does not need to be a retreat.
Okay, then I now adjourn. And I guess my little gavel's gone. Where'd it go?
Right here.